The Premier League Golden Boot, for those of you who don't know, is the award given to whoever scores the most goals across a season in the Premier League. When two or more players are tied at the top of the scoring charts at the end of a season, they all receive the Golden Boot, rather than it being decided by who played the fewest number of games or who made the most assists, as it is in some competitions. The award has been shared on 4 occasions, but there have also been 8 players to have won more than one Premier League Golden Boot. The end result is that across the 28 Premier League seasons since England's top flight broke away from the Football League, 24 different players have won the Premier League Golden Boot. In today's video, I'm going to take a stab at ranking them from worst to best, but it's worth noting that as Premier League Golden Boot winners, to a man, they are all brilliant players, and the early inclusions should really be described as the least good rather than the worst. Crucially, I'm not ranking the players based solely on their time in the Premier League, so longevity won't be rewarded and brief stints in England's top flight won't be punished. Instead, the players are ranked based upon ability and their careers as a whole, in my opinion. I anticipate a great deal of disagreement given the quality of the players involved, but that's all part of the fun. Here's how I would rank every Premier League Golden Boot winner. 24th, Chris Sutton. As I said, there are no bad players in a list of this ilk, but we have to start somewhere, and for me, it's with Chris Sutton. Sutton received the Golden Boot in the 1997-98 campaign in a 3-way tie for the award, after scoring 18 goals in 35 games for Blackburn Rovers. That wasn't actually Sutton's most prolific campaign, which was the 1993-94 season at Norwich City, where he scored 25 Premier League goals. As centre-forward who flourished in a partnership, Sutton was particularly dangerous in the air, but he only ever won 1 cap for England. 23rd, DUBLIN. There haven't been many Premier League centre-forwards who are better in the air than Chris Sutton, but DUBLIN is one of them. An excellent all-rounder, Dublin was one of 3 players tied with Sutton for the 1997-98 Premier League Golden Boot, during his time at Coventry City. Dublin most likely would have scored many more goals were it not for an awful injury at Manchester United, but the man behind the Dube still managed to win 4 caps for England, and he ended his career playing at centre-back. 22nd, Kevin Phillips. If this list were ranked based upon only the season in which the player won the Golden Boot, Kevin Phillips would be right up there. The only Englishman to have ever won the European Golden Shoe, Phillips scored a remarkable 30 goals in 36 games for newly promoted Sunderland in the 1999-2000 season. He never came close to that tally again, otherwise he'd be much higher, but Phillips was always a lethal finisher with superb movement. 21st, Nicolas Anelka. Nicolas Anelka had the talent to trouble the top 10 of this list, but I'm not sure he had the career to match. His Golden Boot winning tally of 19 goals in the 2008-09 season is the fewest goals anyone has won the award with in the last 20 years, but it was the most league goals that Anelka ever scored in a season. Make no mistake, he was still brilliant, but I can only put him in 21st here. 20th, Teddy Sheringham. The first Golden Boot winner of the Premier League era, Teddy Sheringham received the award for the 1992-93 campaign after he scored 22 goals in 41 games for Tottenham Hotspur. A brilliant centre-forward who was equally adept at scoring and creating goals, in his later years, Sheringham tended to operate in more of a withdrawn role where his vision and passing made him a constant menace. 19th, Dimitar Berbatov. Technically speaking, Dimitar Berbatov is among the best forwards of the Premier League era, and there aren't many in this list who were more enjoyable to watch. A man who broke sweat less than Prince Andrew, Berbatov was renowned for his nonchalant attitude, incredible first touch, and his ability to score goals. He was the joint winner of the 2008-09 Premier League Golden Boot with 20 goals, although that was the only occasion in which he scored 20 plus goals in a season in England. A magician on the ball and a joy to watch, Berbatov takes top spot in my heart, but only 19th in my list. 18th, Dwight Yorke. Making it 3 successive former Manchester United strikers in this list, Dwight Yorke actually scored the exact same number of Premier League goals for the Red Devils as Dimitar Berbatov, 48. The 18 league goals that he scored in the 1998-99 season wasn't his highest scoring season, but it was the one which saw him win the Golden Boot in a 3-way tie. The majority of Yorke's 123 Premier League goals came at Aston Villa, although he is best known for his strike partnership with Andy Cole at United. That tally of 123 made Yorke the highest scoring non-European of the Premier League era, in a record that wasn't eclipsed until 2017. 17th, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. Born in Suriname, like a number of Netherlands internationals, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink was a tremendous centre-forward with bags of pace and a fierce shot on either foot. The first two-time Golden Boot winner in this list, Hasselbaink was a joint winner in the 1998-99 season with 18 goals at Leeds United and an outright winner in the 2000-2001 season with 23 goals whilst playing for Chelsea. Unfortunate to have missed out on the Abramovich era at Chelsea, Hasselbaink never won a Premier League title, but his 2 Golden Boots are indicative of his talent and he takes 17th. 16th, Jamie Vardy. When Jamie Vardy was still playing non-league football at the age of 25, the idea of him ever being ranked as a superior centre-forward to Nicolas, Anelka and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink would have seemed absurd. Somehow, it still seems absurd, even though I think it's true. In fact, Vardy is so good, even 16th seemed low to me, but that's the calibre of this list. Despite only scoring 5 goals in his first season in the Premier League, Vardy has now scored 111 goals in only 218 Premier League games. His Golden Boot came last season, which was his second most prolific campaign, and it's not unlikely that he could better his career best tally of 24 this season. 15th, Robin van Persie. A 2-time Premier League Golden Boot winner in consecutive seasons, but famously for 2 different teams, there was a 2 to 3 year period in which Van Persie was just irrepressible. He scored 30 goals in the 2011-12 season at Arsenal, followed by 26 goals the following year at Manchester United, as he won his only Premier League title. Van Persie was a really gifted centre-forward with a sensational left foot, and he's also the Netherlands' all-time record goalscorer. 14th, Carlos Tevez. Both previously of Manchester United, and both at their peaks at roughly the same time, despite being 2 completely different styles of centre-forwards, I found it tough to split Carlos Tevez and Robin van Persie. Ultimately, across their entire careers, I think Tevez probably had a bit more about him, and he offered so much to a team off the ball as well as on it. Tenacious, tireless, and capable of pulling off the spectacular, Tevez's Premier League Golden Boot came in the 2010-11 campaign after he left Manchester United for their cross-city rivals, and tied Dimitar BERBATOV for the award with 20 goals. 13th, Andy Cole. I always think that Andy Cole is chronically underrated and overlooked in discussions regarding the greatest centre-forwards of the Premier League era, and yet here I am putting him in 13th. A sensational goalscorer at his best, no Premier League Golden Boot winner has scored more goals than Cole's award-winning tally of 34 whilst playing for Newcastle United in the 1993-94 season. A brilliant all-round centre-forward with fantastic movement, Cole went on to star for Manchester United, Blackburn Rovers and Fulham among others, and currently stands as the 3rd highest scorer of the Premier League era. 12th, Sadio Mane. It is a bit of a recent phenomenon for non-centre forwards to win the Premier League Golden Boot, and it makes it slightly more difficult to compare players. Sadio Mane was involved in a 3-way tie for the award in the 2018-19 season, following a career best 22 league goals. Mane is a sensational footballer who would get in almost any team in the world. His goal scoring is aided by a fantastic work rate and excellent stamina, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he set a new career best in terms of goals scored this season. 11th, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It seems outrageous that someone as prolific as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang can't crack our top 10, and I must admit, I did a lot of chopping and changing right up to the minute that I uploaded this video, but in the end, that is where he has ended up. Aubameyang was the joint winner of the 2018-19 Golden Boot with 22 goals, a tally which he matched once again last season. Operating off the left flank, Aubameyang has searing pace, he times his runs to perfection, and if you let him cut inside onto his right foot, the ball tends to end up in the back of the net. 10th, Mohamed Salah. The 3 players who were all tied for the 2018-19 Golden Boot with 22 goals, who all play on the wing, feature consecutively in this video. Mohamed Salah is the pick of the bunch in my opinion, albeit there isn't a great deal to split them. Salah's Golden Boot winning tally of 32 goals in the 2017-18 season was the most scored by a player in a Premier League season since 1995. All told, Salah has scored 81 goals in 116 Premier League games since signing for Liverpool, and as outrageous as it might sound, I actually think the 28-year-old is capable of kicking on and becoming even more devastating over the next couple of years. 9th, Michael Owen. The hardest player to rank in this entire video, or at least the joint hardest, were it not for injuries, Michael Owen might well trouble my top 3. It's difficult to put into words quite how special Owen was when he first broke through as a 17-year-old, and if anyone were to do what he did now, they'd be valued at about £250 million. In his first 2 seasons, Owen had absolutely everything. Blistering pace, good technique, and a sharp eye for goal. He could score goals, create goals, and run the channels all day long. Sadly, injuries forced Owen to change his game as the years went on, restricting him to 9th in my rankings. He won the Golden Boot twice, tied on both occasions in the 1997-98 and 1998-99 seasons. 8th, Ruud van Nistelrooy. I would go as far as saying that Ruud van Nistelrooy was the best finisher in the box of any player during the Premier League era. Although he was physically quick and powerful and had excellent technique, Van Nistelrooy rarely took an interest in bullying defenders or dropping deep to help instigate a move. No, he wanted goals, and he got them. He scored 95 goals in 150 Premier League games for Manchester United, and it's only because he didn't do those other things that he was more than capable of doing that he doesn't come even higher. 7th, Didier Drogba. When I said that Michael Owen was the joint toughest player to rank, I'd say he was tied with this man. Didier Drogba was not all that prolific across the course of his career in comparison to some of the players in this list, but he still won the Premier League Golden Boot twice. He won those 2 awards in the only 2 seasons in which he scored more than 12 league goals for Chelsea, although his tally of 29 in 2009-10 was pretty special. Drogba has to be marked down in terms of numbers, but marked up in a lot of other areas. Unlike Van Nistelrooy, Drogba really did use his size and strength to bully players. He could lead a line as well as anyone, and I highly doubt that Frank Lampard would have scored as many goals as he did if he hadn't had Drogba playing in front of him. 6th, Sergio Aguero. Aguero, 6th? If that's what you're thinking, then you're in the same boat as me when I planned this video. But what can I say? There have been so many great Golden Boot winners. In fairness, I'd say there's almost nothing to split 6th, 5th, and even 4th place, but Aguero takes 6th, perhaps because he hasn't had one absolutely rip-roaring season. The Argentine never seems to have an entirely injury-free campaign, and he won his only Premier League Golden Boot when he scored 26 league goals in the 2014-15 campaign. Manchester City's all-time leading scorer, Aguero is obviously an incredibly clinical striker, but he's also added a lot more than goal scoring to his game under Pep Guardiola. Aguero, it should be noted, is the man who overtook Dwight Yorke in 2017 as the highest scoring non-European of the Premier League era. 5th, Harry Kane. I think there's an argument to be had between Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero, and I suspect I would have fallen on different sides of that debate had you asked me at various different points over the last 4 or 5 years. Kane is a 2-time Golden Boot winner, although he actually missed out on the award in his most prolific season to Mohamed Salah. If it weren't for injuries, I suspect that Kane would have won a joint record 4 Golden Boots, and I still wouldn't be surprised if he won his 3rd this season, if he can stay fit. A sensational all-round centre-forward who can score every type of goal imaginable, Kane is also an excellent footballer, who is really proving his creativity so far this season. He has scored 150 goals in 218 Premier League games to date, and it's not impossible to imagine that he could become the division's highest scorer of the Premier League era at some stage. 4th, Alan Shearer. Speaking of the highest scorer of the Premier League era, the man who currently holds that distinction, and the only man in this video who I have met, is Alan Shearer. A 3-time Golden Boot winner, all coming during his time at Blackburn Rovers, Alan Shearer scored a grand total of 260 Premier League goals. Just like Kane, Shearer scored a wide variety of goals. He could really strike a ball from range, he was lethal in the box, and he was brilliant in the air. In the 1994-95 season, when Blackburn won the Premier League title, Shearer scored 34 goals, the joint most of any Golden Boot winner, tied with Andy Cole. 3rd, Luis Suarez. For anyone who missed the introduction, the list isn't based solely on time in the Premier League, otherwise I doubt Luis Suarez would even make the top 10. A centre-forward who always packs plenty of bite, Suarez spent 3.5 seasons in the Premier League with Liverpool, and he won the Premier League Golden Boot in the last of the 3 after scoring 31 league goals. Suarez was capable of winning Liverpool games on his own during that time, although his finest season no doubt came at Barcelona in 2015-16, when he finally brought an end to Messi and Ronaldo's duopoly over La Liga's equivalent of the Golden Boot. Whilst Shearer scored many more Premier League goals than Suarez, the Uruguayan has already bagged more than the Geordie at both club and international level in total, and on the balance of things, I think he deserves to take bronze. Second, Thierry Henry. For my money, probably the greatest player of the Premier League era, Thierry Henry won the Premier League Golden Boot more times than anyone else. A 4-time recipient of the award, Henry bagged 30 league goals in the 2003-04 season, as Arsenal went invincible and Henry was at his scintillating best. So sharp and quick, magnificent on the ball, and full of invention. For close to a decade, Henry just seemed to reek of confidence, and he had the talent to back it up. A joy to watch in the Premier League, and later a star for both Barcelona and New York Red Bulls, Henry is France's all-time leading goalscorer, and a worthy recipient of the silver medal. First, Cristiano Ronaldo. Given that the video is based on talent and overall careers, not just time spent in the Premier League, top spot was probably the easiest decision of the lot. Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at Manchester United as a teenager with lots of fancy tricks and a rake-like physique. He departed as one of the greatest footballers of all time, with end product in abundance and as one of the most impressive athletes, never mind footballers, on the planet. Ronaldo's only Premier League Golden Boot came during his penultimate Premier League campaign, when he scored an incredible 31 goals, but he would become much more prolific at Real Madrid. Ronaldo scored 450 goals in 438 games for the La Liga side, and he has been almost as lethal at Juventus. The greatest footballer to have ever graced the British game, Ronaldo takes top spot without a second's hesitation in my mind. So that is it for today's video, but thank you all as ever for watching. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and do make sure that you're subscribed and have notifications turned on for HITC Sevens. And you can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram, should you wish to do so, via the username @HITC Sevens on both platforms.